Hello everyone, James Wilson here, and today we're going to talk about doing an election prediction based on the polling differences. And what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to do a couple of videos, but this is the first video that I'm going to do. I'm going to do it based on an election prediction based on the polling differences. The only thing I can go by is national polls. So the way this works is that if the country trends to the right or if it trends to the left, the states would go obliging that way. So without further ado, let me explain my methodology here. So the first thing is the current polling at this point. As you can tell, Trump has a 1.5% advantage in the polls at this point. I know it's extremely early, but we're about, when can we really make an election prediction? I guess the summer of 2024 is when we can have a better understanding of what's going to happen. But at this particular point in time, Trump has a 1.5 percentage lead. If you compare that to 2020, Biden had a 7.3 percentage lead, or 7.2, but he only won by 4.5. So that's a 2.7% swing towards the right. So the polling was off by 2.7% in favor of Donald Trump. Okay, so now you're looking at this. Trump has a 1.5 percentage lead. So if the difference between these two pollings is 2.7%, then we can do an election prediction based on the difference here, which means that Trump would be up by 4.2, because 1.5 and 2.7 is 4.2. And so if the polls are off the same way, if it's like balanced and leveled, but it's off around the same percentage points, 2.5 to 3 points in favor of the Republicans, like it was in 2020, then in this situation, Trump would actually get a 4.2 boost. So what you need to do when you look at this is you have to look at the country swinging to the right by 4.7 percentage points. And this is how it would look. So if every state swung to the right about 4.5 to 5%, that's what we're looking at here. Florida would stay red. It would stay with Donald Trump. So Donald Trump would win all the states that he won in 2020. He would win Ohio and Iowa. He would actually lose Minnesota because I think he lost that by more than 4.5 or 4.7. But he would win Arizona. He would win Nevada. He would win Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He would lose in Nebraska 2nd District just because they lost by about 8. In New Hampshire, he would lose that state as well. So based on the polling differences, if the election were to be held tomorrow, based on the polling differences, this is how it would look. 312 to 226 in favor of Donald Trump. Now, do I think it's going to be similar to this? The results, no. I don't think people are that bright. Why are the polls more in favor of Trump? Well, Biden is a bad president. I'll have to admit that. He's not a good president, folks. But you have to understand, in 2020, you had a lot of people, okay? You had a lot of people that decided to not answer the polls, okay? People were bashing Trump left and right. The media was all over it. They did everything in the book they can do. And some of the people were like, I'm not even giving my opinion. I think Trump is doing okay, blah, blah, blah. So they decided not to answer the polls. Another thing is you have to understand is that we were handling the coronavirus, okay? And you had Democrats that were, little scaredy cats. They were scaredy cat of the virus. They didn't want to leave their house. And so they had more time to answer the phone. And so this is another reason why the polls were in favor. The Democrats overperformed. The Democrats underperformed their polling, is because when they called, they got more Democrats. And the reason is because they were scared of the virus. So you got some Republicans that are scared of the virus and voted for Biden. Because as you know, Republicans that were scared of the virus were more likely to vote for Biden than Republicans that were not. And so the polling was skewed. It was skewed in favor of the Republicans. Okay, so now what does that mean here? Well, we're not really in the pandemic anymore. I know people still talk about COVID and mask and everything, but it's kind of like over, So now people are like, well, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. They're more willing to express their opinions because Biden is not a good president. And so this is why the polling is much more tighter now. This Trump plus 10, this Trump plus 5, probably more of an outlier. It's probably more like a tie, in my opinion. When you actually look at the median, the average aggregate, Trump probably does have about a 1-point lead or maybe a tie. Okay, you got Biden leading 4 times, you got Trump leading only 5 times and 3 ties. So that tells you that it might be a tie. And if the polling shows that it's a tie, you have more people that are willing to admit that they're voting for Trump. I think that you may have a lot of people that don't like Biden currently and that they're leaning towards Trump. I think right now, when you look at the trends, and I'm talking trends, he's not going to win this demographically, but African American males are trending to the right probably the most, or possibly Hispanic males. Okay. Now, is that going to happen? Is it going to trend to the right enough during the election time? Because the Democrats will pull everything that they can to try to reel them back into their party, and they're typically really good at that. We're basically the Republican Party, no frills kind of deal, but with Trump, it's a different dinosaur there. So the Democrats are going to do everything that they can to make it a race deal. That the Republicans are racist, Donald Trump's a racist, blah, blah, blah. They'll promise the earth, moon, and the sky to the African American male so they can go ahead and vote Democrat. So I believe this polling is skewed in favor of the Republicans. I think Biden's going to win by about 2 to 3 points. That's my opinion. So, and this is going to be for another video. I'm going to do a video on the 5 states that Trump needs to win in order to win the election. But right now, based on the polling differences, this would be the outcome, and this is accurate. This is 100% accurate, assuming we live in a perfect world. But of course we don't live in a perfect world. You know, Trump lost Nevada by 2.5 points. Well, a 4.7 swing is over 2-point lead for Donald Trump. Arizona, he'd win by at least 4. Georgia, at least by 4. Wisconsin, at least by 4. According to the polling differences. But as I said before, they're now, more Democrats are going out and doing stuff. They're not as scared of the virus anymore. They're not staying home. So now it's compared to the coronavirus. It's actually more difficult to get a hold of Democrats, just like Republicans. Right now, they're both doing stuff. Back then, it was mainly Republicans doing stuff. Democrats are too scared to get out. They believe every little thing that the media tells them. And so they stayed home, but they're not staying home anymore. So the fact that they're not staying home changes the polling data. So when you have number 1, you have Democrats not staying home as much. You have number 2, Biden is not a good president. So now people are finally admitting that they're going to vote for Trump. That's how you create these polling differences. So when you looked at the midterms, the polling actually favored the Republicans. In 2020, it favored the Democrats. In 2022, it actually did favor the Republicans. And I believe in 2024, it's favoring the Republicans right now. I don't think this is accurate. I think, as I said, I think based on that, based on the demographics changing in this country, based on, people dying out, you got the 18 to 22-year-olds that are voting that couldn't vote last time. And they're more likely to vote Democrat because that's what the schools want you to vote for. That's what the colleges want you to vote for. Unless you go to an extremely conservative college, but you would have voted Republican anyways. So at the end of the day, I do believe that this polling is skewed in favor of the Republicans. And but as I said, based on the polling differences, this would be the map. Let me know what you think. Any comments would be appreciated. Like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.